Hello everyone and welcome to Knit. I'm so excited to work on this today. I've been working on this. If any of you have been following my Insta and my TikTok and all that stuff, I've been working on Bernie Sanders, the meme obviously, where he's got his legs crossed and he's sitting there with his face mask wearing his little jacket. So I made my own version and I made a lazy face mask version here. So if you're interested, if you have your own face mask to make, then fine, but I've just been staring at him for a little too long and I'm kind of over it at this point. I purchased these glasses from Hobby Lobby, but you easily could use like wire to make your own little glasses. I bought these from Hobby Lobby and I also bought those glasses from Hobby Lobby as well. They come in a package that looks like this, Marigold Market. Super cute. It's a doll component for reading glasses. I'm sure you could probably find it on their website as well. I bought this when it was all 50% off, so I ended up getting these for $2. So that was not that bad of a deal. They also have these at Joann's, but I don't think that they really work. But you can look at Joann's too for glasses if you're interested in that. People have been asking me for this a lot over the last couple days, so I've just decided that I'm gonna do it. So let's go ahead and get started. For this project, you're going to need some worsted weight yarn and also some fuzzy yarn. I am using red Heart Soft as well as the Lion brand Heartland yarns. I am using a ton of yarn, honestly. I'm using a bunch of different colors, but I find that the Lion brand Heartland as well as the Red Heart Soft tend to go well together. Not all yarns that say that they're worsted weight will, so do be careful when you're picking out your yarns. I would typically choose all from the same brand and all from the same type if you can help it, but I wasn't able to help it because I didn't have all the colors that I needed for my Bernie. All right, so for this I am using some white in the Red Heart Soft as well as this tan in the Red Heart Soft. Those are the two colors that I have for mittens over here. I'm gonna put this out of the way as soon as I say what they are. That was in white and that was in tan. I am also going to be using Lion brand Heartland in this cream color, this black color, this brown color. I believe this one's Sequoia Canyon. I think that's like Acacia or something. I'll post it up here so you can see it. And then also this beautiful green color. His glasses are falling off. No, little buddy. So this is one of my favorite colors. I ended up buying like 20 skeins of this when it was all on super sale one time, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. It's such a beautiful green two-tone color. I love the Heartland brand from the Lion brand yarn because it is so pretty and multicolored and it is just so nice. I love this. So we're going to be working with this color probably actually first. I'm also going to be using felt. I think I got some twine on there from my last video. And this felt is just this light blue color that I had. I have like a ton of it just stashed away. You can get it from Joann's, Hobby Lobby. They all have little pieces of felt. If you want to make your own or crochet your own face mask, let me know if you guys want me to do like a doll version of a face mask. I've been debating doing that. So just, you know, comment down below if that's something you would like to see. I am just being super duper lazy. Let me take off his glasses and show you how lazy I am being. I literally just took my little face mask and I currently have it stuck on with a little sticky thing on the other side and it's just staying on there. So I just took Velcro patches. If I decided to, I'm going to probably hot glue one side so that it can be on forever, but it stays on pretty well. I put on a little nose with the little yarn. I'll show you how I do that. I am also going to be using some 12mm safety eyes, and for the yarn, let's get back to the yarn. I'm using this faux fur yarn because I think it came out with like the best texture I've seen and how I can do this. This is just added and attached, and also this is a 1/4 for size reference for the body. I love how this turned out. This is from Hobby Lobby. This is the Fur the Moment brand, and I love this yarn. Many of you will know from my scrunchie video that I use this a lot in a bunch of other tutorials as well. So just, I'm using any kind of faux fur yarn that you get. This is, I believe, a bulky weight fur yarn. I'll post it here and I'll double check there. But I'm going to be using that as well, and that should be it for all the yarn that you need for this pattern. You're also going to need some polyfill. Get a pound bag and you'll be able to make a bunch of these guys. That's just always my recommendation. I also cannot find my first crochet hook anywhere and it's really bothering me. I think it fell behind the heat register, so I'm gonna have to go hunting for it. but I don't want to move my desk right now to go do that. So I am going to be working with my normal Susan Bates. Links down below if you're interested in these specific crochet hooks. Also links down below if you want to become a Furls crochet hook owner. I am an affiliate with them and I absolutely love my Furls crochet hook. I can't even shout out about it now, even though I literally cannot find it right now. So this is a D3. This is what we're going to be using with the Heartland and the Red Heart Soft when we're doing the body. And then I'm also going to be using a USJ10 for my bulky weight yarn. I'm also going to be using a darning needle and some scissors. So that should actually be it for all the things that you need. I'm going to post up a pattern real quick so that you can see what that looks like generally. I also will have a printable PDF for this, which will be free for the first week. And for those that decide that they want to purchase the pattern after the first week, for the first month or so, all proceeds from this pattern are going to go towards Meals on Wheels in Maine. I figured Bernie's got it covered over in Vermont, but I can probably put a little bit towards my Meals on Wheel people in Maine because that's where I'm from. I wound up purchasing these from Hobby Lobby as well. I thought that this might work out and be cute if those glasses did not work out. I didn't end up needing them, but again, these were also 50% off, so I ended up thinking maybe those would work, and that could work really well as well in case you're looking for something other than the wire idea. And I also wound up purchasing, I went to Hobby Lobby and I just wound up spending all of my YouTube money at Hobby Lobby. It's pretty much what I end up doing. All of the proceeds from AdSense go right into more yarn. I ended up finding this. I believe that this is also the same set that the person who originally made the Bernie Sanders Amigurumi. I've seen literally hundreds of them now at this point, but the first one I ever saw had them sitting in one of these benches, but I wound up getting this because it was, again, 50% off, and I thought it would be really cute to have him sitting in it. So I actually was hoping that maybe the original had him sitting in, there we go, I'll try not to talk while I'm also doing this. I figured all the leftover miniature pieces will end up going to my mom because she actually does dollhouse stuff, but I figured Bernie might be actually able to sit because I made him a little bit leaner in this one than other ones. Let's see if we can get him to sit. No, he is just slightly too big for this chair. That's a shame. Okay, I understand why we ended up using the big one now. So he'll be in the picture. You probably have already seen it in the thumbnail. Hopefully sitting in this chair with his little legs crossed. I also made it so that he is a flexible person, but I'll get into that as I do the tutorial. He also has a little hoodie in the back of his neck. So all right, let's go ahead and get this started then. Alright, so to start we're going to work on the head, and in order to make this not a 2-hour-long video, we're going to pre-do some steps, and if you need this to be step-by-step, I do have a tutorial down below which actually explains how I make my base Luna head. This is just my base baby Luna head. Again, this is a new one that I posted just the other day, so if you're interested in that, this is going to be more of a step-by-step slash to give you a general idea of what you should be doing, and also to show the finer points of how I do specific things on the pattern kind of video than necessarily a stitch-by-stitch tutorial. I hope that makes sense. All right. So we're going to essentially make our baby Luna head, and when we get down to our decreases, I'm going to post up a thing showing what the patterns are and what the charts are for all of that. And once we get down to our decreases, we're going to stop decreasing once we have 18 on our work here. That is on row 17, basically, of that pattern design. So now we're finished with the head, and I'm actually going to undo this one stitch here, so we're one stitch shy of finishing our 17th row. And what I'm going to do at this point is we're going to do something a little bit different with the eyes. Usually I would put them centered and have them be larger eyes. I usually use between a 15 and a 20 for my baby Lunas because I like to have their eyes really big. But for Bernie here, we're going to have our little neck going like this. That's where our stitch ends. So I'm going to take this and make sure that it's facing with the tail. This is my tail that I use towards that. We're gonna put this still in the center, but we're gonna put our eyes a little bit closer together, and we're gonna use smaller eyes. So 3, 4, 6. This is around where the center is. If I can get that in there. So we're gonna plop that right there, and I only want my eyes to be about 5 stitches apart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're gonna put that right there, I believe. Let's see how that looks before I commit to it. Nope, that's only 4 stitches apart, so now I need to go over one more. It's hard to do this when I'm looking through just the camera lens. This new setup is messing me up a little bit. All right, so that is right around there. And then I'm gonna add my safety eyes on now before it gets any further. And our head and our general jacket body, so this little green part before the legs, are all one piece. This is a second piece, which I'm going to be showing you how to do afterwards. But with our green piece, we have 30 expanded stitches along our head, so we need to get back to 30 stitches, and this is just tapering down our neck. So what we're going to do is A, we're working through front loop only. I find that that looks a lot better with my stitches. And B, you're gonna notice that I wrap from left to right and not right to left. It is absolutely fine. So we're on the last stitch. I pulled through once with my cream yarn. Now I'm gonna put the green yarn in Henrietta, and I'm gonna bounce my camera because of course I do. So we're gonna take our green yarn and kind of hold it to the back like so. And we're going to wrap and pull that through. And what I like to do through here is, before I was working through the front loop only, which means that I only put my stitch through the closest one to my hook. Here, I want to make a little bit of a neck there. So I'm going to go through the back loop only, and I'm going to increase as well. So for the head, we are going to back loop only, single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1. This is staggering our increases and making it so that it looks really nice, in my opinion. You don't have to do it this way if you don't want to. If you want to go through the front, that's fine. I just like how the neck looks, and I think it makes it look like it has a good border. And this is our second stitch, so we need to increase this, and keep in mind that we're going through the back loop only for this specific part. Everywhere else, you've gone through front loop only. So then we're going to go through again the back loop, and when you go through the back loop, it leaves the front loop to just kind of sit there, and I like how that looks. I think it tapers the neck a lot better. So now we're going to go and do that again. We're doing that 6 times because we have 6 repetitions of this total. And then increase, single crochet 1, and single crochet 1. If you don't like how that looks with the line, you don't have to do it through the back loop. I just like how that looks with the back loop only. And here I'm going to actually take my tails from the cream and the green, and I'm going to tie them together, and I'm going to double knot it. I'm not going to tie it so tight that it ends up warping it, but I do want it to be a little bit snug. So now I'm going to take that, I'm going to let it go back inside of the head. And I don't typically stuff until I absolutely have to. So I'm probably not going to stuff while I'm on camera. The head for the amigurumi, I hate stuffing. It's literally my least favorite part of amigurumi. Some of you may know that, but I absolutely hate it. All right, so now we need to get that. We have 24 stitches on our work now, and we need to get that up to 30 so that it can be the same width as the head, so it doesn't look like it's off or anything like that. So the way that we do that is we're going to single crochet 1 into the next one. I'm going through again the front loop only, 1, 2, and 3, and then on the 4th stitch you're going to increase. So we're going from 24 stitches up to 30, and we're going to do that all the way around. So again, let's show that one more time. 1, without splitting our yarn, there we go, 2, 3, 4, and increase. So I'm going to do that the entire way around until I get to the end of the row. Alright, so now we are on the last repetition. This is our last increase right here. And what we do for the body up until now is we've increased up to 30 stitches. And so for the next rows 20 through 30, so for basically 11 rounds. 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going, so 30 right here, we're going to single crochet around for those 11 rounds, rows 20 through 30. We're only going to be maintaining in the round doing 30 stitches, and then I'll show you how we slip stitch off. It's in a pretty unique way, and then we're going to go on to the legs. This again is a pretty quick pattern. It's just trying to get everything put together the way it needs to be. All right, I'll be right back as soon as I have the 11 rounds that I need on this, rows 20 through 30. All right, so I stuffed the head just to, you know, get it out of the way while I was about halfway through the body part. And here I'm going to, I did my multiple rounds around here. We're going to then cut our tail. This is about a stitch before right here. And we're going to take our tail. I like to leave a nice long tail, like an absurdly long tail actually. I like it for sewing, and we're gonna cut it real quick. And then we're going to pull our loop all the way through, and I'm actually going to be doing my seamless fastening off technique. I have a video on how to do this a bit slowly, but I'm going to show for this one time how I do it. So for this, and keep in mind, I'm not doing anything with my tail. I'm not cutting it or anything. I'm just going to skip this next stitch, go in from the front into the back on the stitch after that one, pull it through. I'm creating the first loop of my work here, and then I'm going to go and take my darning needle through the center of my original stitch. I like to go through both pieces, and I'm going to just pull that through. That way I have a nice smooth surface that I can work through. That is a completely hidden seam, and I'm going to use this for sewing the legs on afterwards. So let's go ahead and pop on over to the legs portion of this. This just makes a nice smooth transition for when I'm sewing. We're going to keep this kind of just stabbing here, and I'm going to put him elsewhere until we're done with the legs, and then we can sew the two parts together. Be right back. All right, so next up we're going to work on the legs. So you're going to create two of these. So this is the first one that we're essentially going to replicate again, and then we're going to attach them using some chaining methods that I'm going to show you in just a little bit. We're also going to make a knee joint, and I'm also going to show you how I do that as well. But to start out with the leg, we're going to use our brown yarn. We're going to continue using our 3.25mm crochet hook, and I'm going to create a, I don't know, 5-inch long, 6-inch long, a little bit of a tail here. It doesn't super duper matter, the length of it anyway. Sometimes it does matter, it will when it comes to the mittens, but this time it doesn't. So we're going to put our slip stitch on right there, and we're going to chain 5. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. My cat is trying to claw her way out of the room now that I have closed the door. No closed doors. All right, so now we're going to skip our 5th chain from our hook, and we're going to work into the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd chain. So these center 3 we're going to put a single crochet inside of. So we're going to do 1 inside the 4th or 5th, 4th, there we go. Then the 3rd, put 1 single crochet, and then in the 2nd. That leaves us our last one, and for this one we're going to turn a corner. So we're going to do a corner increase, which essentially means that we're going to do a double increase. And a double increase is when you place 3 stitches within a single stitch from the previous round, because you do your first stitch, which is just inherently what you would do, and then you're adding 2 on top of that. So go ahead and go 1, go back inside that same chain, 2, back inside that same chain, and 3. So here's where things get a little funky and why we're not working in the round in the traditional way. We are working in the round, but not in the way that I usually go for these. So we're going to actually take our tail and keep it as if it is a piece of our work. We're going to crochet with this tail as if it is a piece of the stitches. And then for these 3 stitches right here, on the backs of those chains, we're going to put a single crochet in those 3. We're repeating what we essentially did on this side, but we're going to do it on this side now, and we're also going to do another double increase on this top here, and that will get us to 12 stitches. So we have the 3 from there, plus the 3, so that's 6, and then we're going to do that again, so that's 12. So go inside the back piece here of this chain, and we're going to go 1 on the first one with our tail as if it is a piece of our work, 2, and then on the last one right here, 3. So I kind of tug my tail, make sure that it is not being shown anywhere, and then on this last little lip here, we're going to go in and place 3 single crochet, and again working with your tail as if it is in the middle. So 1, go back inside that same spot, 2, go back inside that same spot, 3. So we're going to pull on that a little bit, and now we're going to hold that to the back for right now. Actually, I'm going to move this over here because I have a little written thing of what the pattern says right there, and I want to be able to see it and make sure that I'm saying exactly what the pattern is and I'm not just winging it. All right, so next up we are going to single crochet 3. So again, I'm going through front loop only for this round. I will eventually be doing back loop only on the bottom of the shoe sole, and then I'm going to single crochet again, 2, and then 3, and then we have reached the 3 stitches that were on the corner here, our nice little corner increase, and we're going to increase this piece, single crochet 1, and increase, but we're going to do a normal increase. So we're just going to go 1, same stitch, 2, and then that's it. We're not going to put 3 stitches in there, just the 2. Now we're going to go on the very tip of our shoe and put 1, and then we're going to go into our next stitch and do another increase. Now we're going to repeat this again. So times 2, we're going to do the exact thing on the opposite side. So we're going to go 1, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, and again we've reached our double increase corner, so we're going to do a normal increase, just increasing 1. So 1 inside the same stitch, 2, go back inside the center one for 1, and then on the last stitch of that round we're going to do another increase. And what I like to do here is, again, I like to move my tail forward through the center of that stitch. I'm sorry if you can hear my heater going on in the background. Usually when I say that, it's not that noisy, but I can hear it, and I'm sure people that are sensitive can too. I'm sorry, I need to heat my house. It's so cold out. And so now we have a nice sole of our shoe, the bottom of the shoe, and what we're going to do is we're going to work through the back loop only for 1 round. This will get it established so that we're working in the round, but working through the back loop only makes this nice little ridge that kind of designates that that's the bottom of the shoe, and it makes a nice little brim basically for your shoe. How many times can I say shoe in a video? Probably a lot more. All right, so we're going to go through the back loop only, dropping the front, and go 1 for these 16 stitches. You went from having 12 this last round to up to 16 because you increased 4 times, so you added 4 stitches. So now we have 16 stitches on our work, and we're going to go through the back loops of all of them real quick. I'm probably going to fast forward real quick as soon as I get to a good spot. We are now on the last stitch right there, and so here is where we start to taper and shape our shoe so that it is going this way. If you notice on the shoe, it kind of tapers upward. We're going to be going from our 16 stitches down to 12 across 2 rounds, and the way that I do that is we are going to, this is round 4 now, we are going to single crochet 5, and again I'm back to going through the front loop only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here is the very front of our shoe, and what I like to do here is you can do a double decrease. The way that I do my decreases is I usually put my hook through the front loops of my work like so, but I want to do a double decrease. This would usually only decrease 1 stitch because we're going to single crochet those 2 together. So I want to go through a 3rd one like so. Then I'm going to wrap my yarn, pull it through all 3 of those loops, and then single crochet like normal. So now that I've done a double decrease on the front of my shoe, we're going to single crochet around for the rest of the round, which is another 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We have now reached here, so I'm actually going to take my tail, I'm going to pull that forward. There we go. now it's all pulled forward. Anyway, so we're going to actually go from the 14 stitches that we just decreased down to, and we're going to do that again. So we're going to actually just single crochet 4 this time. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're doing one less because we decreased last time around, and we're going to do the exact same thing where we go through the front 3 loops of the next 3 stitches that we want to decrease together to do a double decrease, and put them all together in one. And now we only have to single crochet 7 to get to the end of the round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on the 7th stitch, we're only going to do 1 like this, and then we're going to change our yarn color to our next color, just like we did for the head between the body and that. So we're going to go to this nice black yarn for the pants. I'm going to take this out of Henrietta, my nice little chicken rooster bowl. I don't know if she's a rooster. They say she's a rooster, but I think she might actually just straight up be a chicken. Anyway, I'm going to take my work and hold it to the back, loop it through, and then again, I'm going to actually keep my brown yarn to the back here. We're going to work through the back loop only once more. So we're going to kind of just leave that be, go into the back loops here, and just start single crocheting around for those 12 stitches, but through the back loop only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see that this also leaves a nice little ridge. Kind of just shows where your boot is, and it gives a little bit more depth. If you don't want to do back loop only, you're free to do it however you want. I just like doing it this way because I like the depth that it provides my amigurumi. I lost what stitch I'm on. I think I'm on 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm on 7, 8. Keeping my tails kind of not being crazy. 8, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think. Yeah, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So here is what we're going to do. We are going to work on the rest of our leg. I'm going to stuff, and I'm going to double knot my tails real quick just to show, just like I did before. I like to make it so that they are nice and hidden. I don't tie it too tight because I don't want it to warp my yarn, but I do want to get it so that it is secure. So I'm going to double knot very securely, not tightly, but just like a good amount. Cut that, and then let him kind of just go over there for a minute and plop him inside. So now we're going to go back to working through front loop only, and for rounds 7 through 24, we are going to single crochet around down the entire thing. Now I'll come back when I'm only about 17 or 18 rows in, and I'll show you what I do between rows 13 and 14 in order to do this knee. Essentially, I'm just going to take some spare yarn and I'm going to sew across it, but I'll show exactly how I do that. This is going to be a very long video, and I'm so sorry. Be right back as soon as I get a good amount of this done. I don't want to come back until after I only have about 18 stitches done, because it is easier to do this while it is still working versus doing this when you have finished it completely. All right, I'll be right back as soon as I get to about row 17 or 18-ish. Okay, so for the knee, I just got it all the way up to the point where I have now 13 and 14 rows right here. I went a couple extra rows just to get it out of the way. Be careful not to get your working yarn in the way, but we're basically just gonna take a tail that's the same color as our active working yarn, and we're gonna pull that through. I'm gonna leave a nice long tail here so that I can hide that later. And we're going to skip this stitch and go into the next, and then pop it into the back. Ah, oops. Chairs are falling everywhere. Pull that through like so. Try not to keep it so that this don't pull that out basically. And now we're gonna go through again, trying to keep it going across, and we're just gonna do that the entire way around basically. And I stuffed up until the 13th and 14th row, so that is completely hidden. So there we go. There we are. That's where I want to be. There we go. And we're just gonna sew across. Once we are done sewing across, I'm gonna go like that. We then take our two tails and I like to pull on them, and that makes it so that this is a nice joint. So now I'm going to hide my tails. I'm just going to shove it through the rest of the leg and kind of hide them. And then I'm going to continue sewing on my sewing and crocheting the rest of my piece. I'm just going to go like that across and then across. I can show it on camera. There we go. Don't go off camera. And I'm going to get rid of this tail because it's not really necessary. Go like that and it'll go back inside your work. Get rid of that tail. And now you've got this one here, and I like to do the exact same thing. So I'm just going to finish off my leg rows, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I attach the two legs so that they are now becoming this body part. I'll be right back as soon as that's done. Alright, so I have the legs that are the same length now, and what we're going to do next is we're going to join them. So to join them, you're going to want your feet going in the same direction, so my toes are going that way. The backs are facing the camera, and what we're going to do is I'm going to put that one right there, and we're going to chain 3. I'm going to make nice loose chains, 2 and 3. Here we're going to slip stitch onto the other leg about 6 stitches away from where we slip stitched off before. So I want to get on this corner right on the crease. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm actually going to go one over. So there we go. We're going to slip stitch right there and try to not get our stuffing into our stitches. So now we're going to actually just slip stitch like so. We are going to single crochet right there. I'm going to go through both loops for that one, but then I'm going to go back to front loop only. And now we're going to single crochet the rest of the stitches around. We want to get 12 stitches from each of our legs, and then we're going to single crochet those 3 chains, single crochet around the 12 from the leg, and then we're going to single crochet on the back sides of those chains. So follow me here, and we're also going to hide our tail into our work. So 1, 2, 3, it's going to be kind of floppy for a minute, 4, 5, 6, and because I went right before, we're going to have a 7th stitch here, which because this looks funky, I'm actually going to go like this into the stitch that it's kind of leaching out of, and I'm going to keep my tail right in the front and just attach them like so, and do a little single crochet. Now I'm going to work with my tail as if it is a piece of my work, and I'm going to go across like that. We're going to flip our legs so that it is facing upwards with the toes going up. Pull on my tail so that it's not just sticking out of the yarn in a way that I don't want it to. And this is our last one. This is 12. And now what we're going to do is we're going to keep this tail kind of just hovering. I already put it through a bunch of those stitches and I don't really need it through that many more. There we go. We can actually use this for later whenever we need to actually make the crease on our legs. So I'm just going to keep that hovering there. And now what I like to do in order to hide this the best, I'm going to take this stitch right here and I'm going to kind of double crochet 2 together into the first chain and just make it so that that looks a little bit more closed off. And then I'm going to go into my middle one and do a single crochet into that chain, and then we're going to go into our last chain right here and then go into this one that's open and then do the same thing where I put them together kind of, that way I don't get like a giant hole. And now we're going to do 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and again 12. What I'm going to do here is, again, I want to kind of hide that, so I'm going to go through these stitches right here, the chain back side on the other side, and we're going to single crochet those together. 1. Henrietta is going to give me some more yarn. We're going to go into the center one, 2, and now you kind of have this loose one here and you have a chain right there. You're going to go through your chain. It's going to be tight. This is the last one, and for some reason it's always the worst. We're going to do a single crochet through there, and now we're going to do a single crochet through that first one because that, I don't know why it always does that, but it does. Anywho, so now we're going to go back to our side here. This essentially is the first side. That chain there doesn't count as a row, and in my opinion, I think it just adds more wood basically. So we're gonna go over here and crochet to this side. And then I'm gonna crochet down the side again. And then I'm gonna have that be the start of my round. So you see how this kind of raises up in the back, but this one dips down. I'm gonna fix that by actually single crocheting across all of those stitches. So these 15 stitches from this hip to that hip, we're just going to single crochet across, and then that will be counted as the start of my next round. And so once that is done, we're going to single crochet around just those 30 stitches, because we had 3 from the front and the back, and then we already had 12. 12 plus 12 is 24, and then plus the 3 is 30 stitches. So you should have 30 stitches on your pants, and that matches up with the 30 stitches that are actually on your shirt top here. So I'm going to actually just single crochet around for 5 rounds, or basically until it's the height that I want it to be. I'm going to do 5 rounds after this one, and that's pretty much what I'm going to do. So here I'm getting close to the edge here, and you can see what I mean by it looks a bit more even if I go around this round. There we go. So we're going to single crochet around. I'm going to take this tail and temporarily pull it over here just for now, and then I'll show you how I actually take this. Don't stuff anymore, because you're going to take this part here and you're going to go across it with this tail and hide and make another nice little seam basically here. So we're going to do that again, and I'm going to go around for 5 more rounds. This counts as the start of this round, and I'll be right back as soon as that's done, so you can see how that's a bit more even now. You basically kind of did an extra half row, but it works out, and I think it looks better this way. So I'll be back as soon as I get 5 more rounds of the 30 done. Be right back. Okay, so I finished it off, and I ended up hiding my tails and using that tail to go across my legs to create this extra crease. So now there's no gaps going into the legs, and we just have 2 joints on the legs. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to take the body, and this is just the way that I like doing it, but I like to line up this part of the body with wherever I have it on the legs. So say this lines up with right around here. So I'm going to do a mattress stitch on this, but when I'm doing my mattress stitch, I'm going to line it up, making sure my head's going the right way. We're going to go through from the back of the stitch through to the front on this part, and then I'm going to go back up, and instead of going through both loops like you would for a mattress stitch, I'm going to go through just the center back one. That way this front drops and creates again another nice line. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show it a couple more times, and then I'm going to go finish sewing this, and I'm going to stuff his little body. So through the center, I'm not dropping right there. I like to tighten it every couple stitches. Go through the center of that loop, dropping the front loop, and just try to keep it so that it is all lined up. You want your eyes going straight, and you don't want like a crooked head. I mean, if you do, you do, but I generally want him to be looking like he's looking straight ahead, like so. And again, I'm dropping those stitches, creating this nice line. So I'm gonna go finish that, and then we'll come back and we'll start working on his little mittens. Alright, so we now have that part of our Bernie done. His main body is done, so now we're going to be working on his arms and adding those on, and then after that I think I just have the ears and the hair. This is a very long tutorial, a lot longer than I thought it would be for some reason, I don't know why. So here we're going to start the mittens, and we're going to again create a magic ring. I'm going to apparently get some kind of fluff in it. Let's go ahead and undo that. And now we're going to pull that tight, and we're going to create our magic ring, which is putting 1 and 2 chains, just like we do before. And here we're going to go back inside and put 5 single crochet on the inside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Our hole is big, that's fine. We're going to pull that tight. We are working with our white yarn for the next 3 rounds, and we're not going to detach it either. We're going to just keep our tail there, and we're going to put an increase inside every single stitch for row 2. So 1 seam stitch, 2, 1, 2, seam stitch, third stitch, 1, 2, fourth stitch, 1, 2, fifth stitch, 1 and 2. Now here, I usually pull my tail forward, but I'm not going to right this second. I'm going to actually count because I want to go from 10 stitches. We went from 5 increased up to 10, and we're going to go from 10 up to 15. This is not the usual where I usually do 6, 12, and 18. I want it to be slightly smaller than that. So 1, and then increase, 1, and then increase again, so that's our second increase, 1, third increase, 1, fourth increase, and 1, and this should be getting us to 15 stitches now. So I'm going to actually not pull all the way through because we're going to be changing to our color tan on this, and we're going to grab our tan yarn. I'm going to put him in Henrietta as well. Pull our tail so that it is not super long. Don't worry, there will be a super long tail, just not this one. So we're going to pull that through, and now we're going to use our tan and we're going to single crochet around all 15 of those stitches. So 1, I'm going to fast forward through here until we get to the end, and I show you how I change to the brown. Essentially, we're just going to do the same technique that we've been doing this entire time, where I don't pull through all the way through my 2 stitches, and I just change it to the second color. That's what we're going to do, and don't worry about it not looking nice and neat. That thumb will cover it up. It's meant to be like a nice handmade looking mitten, so we're just going to go with that. Alright, let's fast forward through here. Alright, this is our last stitch. Pull through, and now we're going to grab our brown. We're about to have a lot of colors going on at the same time, so don't worry. It's a little freaky, but it's fine. So we're going to take our tail and put him there, and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the tan last row and just pull that through, and now we're going to single crochet around with that. We are not detaching any yarn yet because we are going to be doing other rows, and there's no point in detaching it until after that. So I'm going to actually do a fast forward again with this brown. We're just single crocheting around those 15 stitches. We are now just on row 5. I want to say 5. Alright, before I do my last stitch, I'm going to take my brown and my tan tail. I want them to be a bit more attached. So I've got so many strings going on at once right here. It's kind of crazy. I'm going to take this and I'm going to kind of tuck my first tail that I made into and inside of the mitten. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to take the brown tail and the tan tail, and I'm going to just do a double knot, and then I'm going to stuff it inside the mitten as well. So 1 and 2. Again, I'm not pulling too tight so that it is not too much. Actually, I'm going to take this and this and this. These 3 tails that are added on here, I'm going to cut them shorter. This is basically what I'm going to be using for stuffing for this mitten. I don't actually stuff the mittens, I just use my tails because there's so many of them. Alright, so we still have all these active, and we're going to continue having all those active, but now we're going to go back to tan. So here, we're going to do 1, and then we're going to pick up our tan from where it was and wrap it and pull through like that, keeping our brown to the back. We're going to pick up and do the next 15 stitches. We are now on row 6. Pulling a little bit as we go. Alright, we are on the last stitch, and I'm actually going to be cutting off this tan, but when I cut off the tan, I'm going through once. I'm going to leave an absurdly long tail. This is going to be our thumb working yarn. So leave a nice long tail. If you think you've left it long enough, you haven't. Alright, so now that I have that, I'm going to actually take this and I'm going to pick up my white yarn and pull that through. That way I'm just not having an active piece of yarn. There we go. I'm going to pull that through. And here we have so many strings going on at once. It's kind of crazy. There we go. I'm gonna take this tan, I'm gonna pull through from behind over here and pull that through to the front of that work. And that will be used later to create a thumb right there to hide that where the colors change. So here we are now on row 7 and we're still keeping our brown active. We're not doing anything with that, but we're going to actually single crochet 3 and decrease with our white yarn. This is going to kind of taper in our mitten and give it a bit more of a mitteny look. So 2, 3, we're going from 15 down to 12, so 1, 2 together, and we're going to do that for a total of 3 times or 2 more times after that. 1 decrease basically. 1, 2, 3. No, little buddy, stay there. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 1. 4, 5. Pull that through, and now we're going to actually leave our white yarn. We're going to cut that. We're done with that now, and now we're going to go on to row 8, and we're going to increase every single stitch with our brown yarn. So I'm going to tuck this inside of our mitten, kind of hide it, and now all we have left is this brown yarn. So we're going to pull that down again, pull that through, and now that we've done that, we're going to take this and we're going to go inside every single one of these and place an increase. So we're going to be going up from 12 to 15. This just kind of makes a tapered out piece here, and keep in mind that you're going to want to be going through front loop only. Again, for all of this, especially for the last little couple of rounds, it matters for when we eventually add on the green for the arm part. So we're going to just increase all of these, and I'm going to fast forward and show you how I fasten off the part here. Alright, we are on our last stitch. Let's do our final increase. And now we're going to cut a tail, a nice, decently long one. It doesn't have to be like crazy long, like a good 6 inches. And we're going to do the same fastening off technique that we did earlier. So I'm going to fasten that off real quick, make it look nice and neat on that corner. We're going to skip this stitch and go into the next, creating a loop right there. Don't pull too tight or else it'll get weird. And then go down, and then I like to also go down further through the back loops, and then I'm just going to hide this on the inside of our mitten. If you need to cut tails, you can cut tails. If you don't want this to be as stuffed full of tails as it is, you can do that, but I think that that makes it nice and hidden and you cannot see where the fasten off is. Alright, so now we're going to come back to this tan yarn that we left over here as a gusset. We're going to stick our crochet hook through wherever you can through this little side mitten. Then we're going to carry our tail basically as if we were working with it, wrap and pull it back through. We're going to do a little slip stitch, and then we're going to go back inside that hole that you made. So I just kind of shoved it through, and I'm going to single crochet 3. 1, 2, see why I said you need a nice long tail, and 3. Then go back inside, slip stitch like that, and pull off. That is our thumb gusset. It makes it nice and cute, and I like it. So now you could either use your hook and pull it through into the center, or I'm just going to take this and pull it down and through like so. And then take this, cut it. I don't need all that excess, and I'm just going to shove it into the center of my mitten. This makes it so that there's some stuffing in my mitten, but I don't actually need it to be that stuffed or that full. So here is where we're going to knock over all of our Velcro patches, you know, as you do. I have too much stuff piled up over there. We're going to take this back and we're going to add an arm to this mitten. There we go. I'm going to make noises everywhere. So what we do in order to do that is we're going to take this, and you see all of these lovely white stitches here. We are going to pick up all 12 of those back stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. Oh, oops, that one's 12, kind of hiding in the corner there. So this one counts as 12. Let's see if we can wiggle our, there we go, we're wiggled in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our yarn, again, hold it back, and I'm going to slip stitch onto this piece right here, and then I'm going to go back inside that same stitch and I'm going to do a single crochet. I'm going to then single crochet through the back loops on every single one of those stitches. We want 12 stitches on our work when we are done and get back to the beginning. And now we're on the last stitch right here. And what I'm going to do is when I'm going over here, I'm going to kind of tighten up my yarn a little bit, and that makes it so that hole's a little less noticeable. Now, that was the first single crochet into row 10, and here I want to take these 12 stitches and bring them down to 10, so I'm going to decrease twice to do that. So in order to do that, I single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, and then decrease these two together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Decrease together. Now that was row 10, and now for rows 11 through 20 we are going to just single crochet around until basically it is the length that we want it. So I'm going to go around for another 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 10 more rounds, and then I'll be right back and I'll probably just sew them onto the sides. A big thing that I do whenever I have my arms here is I like to make sure that my thumbs are facing forward, because when you have your hands going outward, your thumbs are facing up. So I try to have the thumbs facing up and have both of them facing forward, because that's how thumbs work. So I'll be back as soon as that is all done and all attached, and then I'll show you how I make his head into a cute little Bernie head with some ears and some hair. Be right back. Alright, so now I've attached my arms and I finished my mittens. I also went ahead and just did the hood. I'm going to post the pattern right here, but it's super duper easy. You just increase up to 24 stitches in the same manner that you would for your head, except instead of going to 30, you're just going to 24, and then you single crochet around for 3 rounds, and then I just attach it in the same way that I've been attaching everything else, with a mattress stitch along the back of the neck from arm to arm. I actually put my needle through the arm and then go across and then through this arm, and then I hide my tails. So that is all done, and now we are on to the last couple of parts, which is the ears and the hair. So the ears are pretty simple. All you do is you're going to create this nice little side ear. All you do basically is you're going to take your tail, leave a nice long tail because you will be using this for sewing, and you're going to create a magic ring. So we're going to go 1 chain, 2 chain, and then inside that chain you're going to place 5 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your hole's big, that's fine. Go ahead and pull that nice and tight, and then chain 1. This is where we're gonna change things up a little bit. Now turn your work, and I like to keep my tail as if it is a piece of my work, so I kind of pull it up, and here I'm going to go through the last single crochet that I just made while also kind of tugging on my tail, and I'm going to put 2 stitches in every single one of those stitches that I made. So 1, 2, pull your tail, makes it nice and tight like that. Go into the next stitch, 3 and 4. Go into the next stitch, 5 and 6. Then go into the next stitch. This is the 4th and almost close to the last one. 7 and 8. And on the last stitch, instead of putting 2 stitches inside of it, I'm going to go in like normal and just put in my first stitch. And then I'm going to go inside that same stitch and I'm going to slip stitch and cut my tail. Like so. I have everything pulled through, and what I usually do is I'll take my tail that I had been working with on the inside, my very first tail, and I'm going to take that, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to try to line that up with the eyes. So I try to make the ears line up with the eyes like so, and I try to do it about 5 stitches back, or 4 stitches back, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why I said 5. And then I'm going to take it, that sounds seems very violent. I'm going to take it and stab it right through his head, basically like that. That gives me kind of like a, it stays in place long enough for me to sew the rest of it on there. And I'm going to take the other tail, basically, and I'm going to sew that on. So the way that I'd sew it is I'm going to go through like this, go through the front of this loop, and I'm just going to continue on like that, basically, just taking it as I go through the front part there, go through there. This is going to be a very long tutorial, I'm so sorry. And go through that, and then I try to go through this last little loop here from the back to the front, basically, and then I'm also going to stab that through his head as well. Try to tug it, make it look nice and neat, and there you go, you have an ear. And I'm going to do that to the other side as well so that they are matching. Next up, the hair. I forgot I actually take a tail of some of my cream yarn and I actually go back and forth a couple times in order to create a nose as well. Super easy, not super complex at all. I just kind of go back and forth a couple of times and just make a little ridge. Also, when he's like this, it makes me think of a Wallace and Gromit character. Am I the only one? Anybody else see it? So I kept on over-analyzing and trying to figure out how I was going to do the hair, and I just kept on like rattling my brain about it. And then finally the easiest and most simple solution came to me. Why not just use faux fur yarn? So I'm using for the moment, which I'm going to leave a nice long tail because I actually use my tails to sew it onto the head. And this tutorial is getting very long and I haven't been showing my sewing at all. I do think I'm going to be coming up with a tutorial on how to do sewing, like the general basics of it if people are confused. And once I do that, I will link it down below. But for right now, I'm going to just show how I'm working with this in order to make a little hair piece. So as you can see on the back, this is pretty much just a little triangle piece that we're making. We're going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. We're going back and forth 5 times. I don't know how many times I just said it there. But we are going to basically do this across 15 stitches, but we're going to chain 16 so that we can do our turning. It is hard to see your stitches with this yarn, so you kind of just need to trust yourself. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can kind of see the stitches. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we have 16 ridges. You can kind of see the braiding, but it's really hard to do. A big thing that I will say is try to focus on getting your hook around the base part where it's braided right here and not around the faux fur. That makes it a lot easier. Also, when you do decide to cut this, ignore the faux fur completely and literally just take your scissors and cut as cleanly and as close to this little piece as you can. You'll end up with a lot less fallout. So we're going to skip the first chain, which I believe is right there, and we're going to go into this second one, and we're going to place single crochets in the rest of these chains. So we had 16 chained, and now we want to have 15 single crocheted across. I'm going to keep doing this until I get to the end, and I'm probably going to fast forward until I get to the last couple stitches. A lot of the time it is better to do these stitches more by feel than when you just stare at it. So I kind of just try to feel my hook into it. I'm also using a larger sized hook As well, I'm using a size J10 instead of my 3.25 millimeter. You can probably tell that I changed my hook, but I figured I would say the actual size. I would just go down a size from whatever faux fur yarn you're using. If you end up with something different, I just wanted to do it with this one basically. And you can see how absolutely fluffy this is. And it takes a bit for you to get all the way down. This yarn makes me slow down because I can't crochet quick and at all. Alright, so we're down to the last couple stitches. I believe this is the last one. No, wait. Yeah, no, this is the last one. Okay. So we're going to single crochet in that, and then we're going to chain and again turn. So the point for the next 4 rows after this is we're going to chain, single crochet through all 15 of these, chain, turn, single crochet, chain, turn, and go on and on for another 4 rounds. Every time you turn, you chain one, that way it makes a nice smooth edge. So I'm going to do that until I get to the height that I want, and then I'm going to sew it onto the back of the head. Alright, so at the end of all of that going back and forth, you should end up with 2 tails. And what I like to do is I'm actually going to take these tails and I'm going to weave them in to the centers of my stitches on both sides. And honestly, I know some of you are already seeing this come in because you know my affinity for hot glue guns. You can either A, sew this, but I don't like sewing this. I'm literally going to take hot glue to the back center of this, and I'm going to take my Bernie head and I'm just going to glue it on so that it is between the ears on the back side of his head where I want it. So it's probably going to go right around there. I'm hot gluing one side and I'm just going to squish it on and hold it on. So I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go hide all of my tails, and then I'm just going to hot glue this on. I tend to try to frazzle the side that I know is going to be on the other side. It makes it look a little bit more like crazy hair, so I'm probably going to go do that. You can also take your tails and weave it through the head if you want to hide it that way. However you want to attach this, really it is up to you. I am going to, however, just hot glue this on real quick, and then I'm pretty much done other than the face mask, which I just cut a little tiny mini square out of. And I'll show you how I do that in just a moment. So for my Bernie mask, I was again super lazy. Again, I'm pretty lazy when it comes to my dolls. I don't know, maybe not lazy is the term, but like, yeah, no, lazy is probably the term. Just I want to get it done in a way that works. So originally I started out with a square that was that large. It was way too big for his face, obviously. You could add some string to the backs and the sides of it, but I just found that adding a little Velcro patch right there, if you don't like this, you don't have to add it. But the Velcro patch, you can hot glue it on if you want to, but I'm just probably going to stick it on like that because it actually does adhere. And you make a 1 inch by 1.5 inch rectangle and just attach it to the side of your little guy. I actually stuck the sticky part on the opposite side of the little mask, and the Velcro patch going outward onto the skin like so. That way it actually sticks to the yarn, and I think that that looks pretty good. So that's pretty much all there is to the Bernie as far as everything that is used to make it. So this video has gone on for a very long time. The pattern is on here and you have a general idea of what I did. You can get the pattern again for free for the first week, I believe, and then anybody who actually does purchase the pattern, all of the money from the pattern will be going towards Meals on Wheels in Maine, so keep that in mind as well. I have links for everything down below. You can always get my patterns on Kindle, you can get it on LoveCrafts, you can get it on pretty much everything. I have it all linked again down below. I love how he turned out. I think this one turned out skinnier than that one. Either way, they're super cute and I love how he turned out. So I want to thank you for watching this video, and before we go, I'd like to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to grow as a channel, so thank you so much for your generous pledges. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can go to patreon.com/knit and you can see the different rewards we have for our patrons there. We have free patterns, early access to tutorials, all kinds of stuff. We also have a Discord, and that is amazing. I love the people that help me over there. I have Golden and Bryn, and they help me organize everything over there. We have memes, we have all kinds of fun over there. So if you're interested in that, again, links are going to be down below. Oh, and I forgot, on top of that, we're also going to be doing a left-handed version of this. So let me know what you guys think about the inverse mirror version of this. I've been talking about it for a little while, but they finally actually came up with the feature to do it in my editing software. So stay tuned for that. All right. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the little bell before you leave if you want to see more videos like this. Until next time, guys. Bye.